Good morning or afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to today's webinar. Today's webinar is on the chapter web pages in BNI Connect. One thing that you may or may not know, oh, excuse me there for a second, but one thing that you may or may not know is that all chapters that are part of BNI Connect all have a chapter web page that is available for them to be able to customize, to display information about their chapters, and to give you another point of presence for yourselves, for your chapter, and for the members of your chapter. It also does things like display your speaker rotation and your leadership team contact information. All of this is included in BNI Connect for your chapters. Today what we're going to do is to kind of go over a introductory level. Here's what they are, here's how to utilize them, and here's how to do some basic editing to those pages. Before we get started on the content today, just a couple of housekeeping tips. This is a live webinar, so that means that if you have any questions whatsoever as we're going through the material today, please do stop me and ask those questions. Always happy to answer questions and go a little bit deeper. We're scheduled for about 30 minutes worth of content. That being said, if you have additional questions at the end, I am always happy to stay on these webinars as long as you have more questions. This is what we do here in BNI Connect Support. We answer questions all day long, and I'm always happy to answer those questions live. This webinar is being recorded. It will be made available very shortly after today's presentation. We make them available in a couple of different places. The first place to look is to look on the support site. Now, the way to get to the support site is to please click on this question mark when you're logged into BNI Connect. That will take you over to the support site. You'll see our listing of monthly webinars there. And if you scroll down just a little bit under Chapter Training and Documentation, you will see the recorded webinars for February. And here you'll see all the ones that we've done so far. And then after today's presentation, the chapter web pages will be listed here as well. Now you can also go directly to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. And this has a listing of all of our webinars, all of our recorded content, actually. It has the special messages from Dr. Meisner, some educational moments, short 3 to 5 minute videos, as well as, of course, the recorded webinars themselves. So please do check out our YouTube channel. All right, so today's presentation, again, this has to do with the chapter web pages. So what do these chapter web pages look like? What are they? Why do we use them? The primary reason that we're using the chapter web pages is because it's a couple of main reasons. Is number one, it's branding compliant. One of the challenges that any corporation has, any company has, is all of the different logos and materials that may get reproduced all over the place over the years. One of the things about the chapter websites is that a lot of the imagery on the sites and the logos and the headers and things like that are managed by the server, so it helps you to stay brand compliant. In addition, a lot of the information is pulled from BNI Connect for any chapter or anybody that's a web designer that's gone off and made your own chapter website. One thing inevitably happens with all of these chapters, and that is that the website quickly becomes out of date. Membership in chapters changes frequently. New members come on board in your chapter, and some members leave the chapter. Trying to keep up just with that chapter roster can be a full-time job. The BNI Connect chapter web pages all have the ability to be updated. They pull the information automatically from BNI Connect, so as members update their profile in BNI Connect through a common interface, then the chapter web pages get updated automatically, and there's very little maintenance that needs to be done from that perspective. So let's take a look at what these chapter websites look like. So the chapter websites are a part of the regional websites. So I'm going to take a look. We have a special website called AntarcticReferrals.com. This is our BNI Connect live testing site for our Antarctica region. And if I go and I take a look through the site, this is a default regional website, and I go to find a chapter, take a look at the chapters, and maybe I'm out there visiting a chapter, want to go visit, and this Burr chapter here looks pretty good. They meet on Wednesdays at 5:30 at night. That's a good chapter for me. Let's take a look. Take a look at their roster real quick, and yeah, you know what? This has Art Garfunkel and Albert Camus and Alfred E. Newman. This looks like a good chapter for me. Let me check out their chapter website. Now, this is a default out-of-the-box chapter website with no modifications at all done to it. And you see that it has some common elements for chapter websites. So down the left-hand side here, it has the chapter information about it, when they meet, where they meet, who the contact person is, who the leadership team is for this chapter. Just excuse me one second. I apologize for the interruption. I've been kind of fighting with some laryngitis for the past month or so, so I apologize for the scratchy nature of the voice and the interruption there. But this chapter website here has a lot of common elements, as I said, down the left-hand side, the chapter leadership, how to get in touch with them if you want to visit. On the inside here is what you can customize, so you can go through and change the message. You can change some of the pictures here. Down at the bottom, the chapter speakers are automatically populated when your chapter inputs their speakers into BNI Connect. There's also the chapter members roster. There's some customization that you can do on these pages as well. And if you click through to chapter members, every member also has the ability to have a profile on the chapter pages as well. There's also other elements of this where there's a news feed that you can use that is either customized by you or gets pushed down from your region. And there's also a chapter picture gallery, which is not active by default, but something that you can activate on your chapter pages. So this is what one looks like by default. There are also tons of chapters out there that have taken this to the next level. My personal chapter website, we really haven't done much with it in my chapter. Yes, I am a member. What we've done is we've just added our Facebook page links on here, and we also have our own chapter news page, news feed that we've put in that pulls some news from BNI as well. But it goes a lot deeper than that as well. Let me show you a couple of examples of some chapter websites out there that have been customized quite well, in my opinion. One of them is, I'm just going to do a Google search for this, but it's a BNI Golden Ideas chapter. And this is in San Francisco, so I have a result here. And I love this chapter. If I view their chapter website, you can see they've put some custom imagery in here. They've changed some of the verbiage. They've added an I'd like to visit button. They added a link here for a message from the president. They have a chapter map, what they're looking for. If I click on their chapter members, their roster, it not only displays their roster, but it has the ability to, what they've done is view their power teams. So they've coded this in a way that they can look at their target market, their business to consumers. All of these things have been done by the chapter webmaster. So all of these are possibilities of what you can do with your chapter websites. And today what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go through some of these examples. This is just one more example that I wanted to pull up. And this is the Warwickshire chapter out in the United Kingdom. And you can see they've added videos to their website. They've also added a Visit This Chapter button. And they've done quite a bit in order to make it inviting for people to go and visit those chapters. All right, so how do we edit these chapter websites in BNI Connect? Well, the first thing is you do have to log into BNI Connect. Now, in order to edit the chapter websites, you do need to be designated as a chapter webmaster. By default, if you are on the leadership team for the chapter, you may have access to do some minor editing on there. Otherwise, this is something that has to be granted by your executive director or by your regional office. So all you need to do is to get in touch with your executive director or, again, your director consultant or regional admin, whoever normally does your BNI Connect administration. Let them know that you would like to be a chapter webmaster, and they can assign you these permissions. Now, once they do, you should see a Tools menu show up here. And under this Tools menu, there is the CMS option. And most people will, by default, just have access to the chapter websites. Once you get to the chapter websites, you will see listed all of the chapter websites that you have access to edit. Now, as a web designer, there are even some opportunities where you can help a region out in order to help them with all of their chapter websites, for example. But most of the time, if you're just a single chapter webmaster, you will just see one thing listed here. So I can see here this is the default link to the chapter web page. I can see which chapter it is, who created it, when it was last modified, and then I have options to edit this site here by clicking the link. Now, once we get into the edit, again, this is the CMS. CMS, by the way, stands for Content Management System. We see that it's broken into a couple of different tabs, and in the middle here we have the layout of the website. So these are all the different pages that compose a BNI Connect chapter web page. We have the home page, the chapter members. We have these sub-pages of chapter members, member details, chapter details, send message. We also have a gallery page and a news page. You'll also see across the top here a couple of additional tabs. So let's take a look at what those tabs are. The second tab is the library tab. Now, the library tab is your image repository. That means that in order to put a picture on a website, you need to get that image onto the BNI Connect servers, and you do that by putting it into your library. It's fairly easy to do. So let's say I have something that I'd like to upload into my library that I can use on my page. I go to the library and the images, and I click Upload. I then browse my computer for whatever files I would like to upload to the system. Let's say I'd like to put this Get Connected button up there, this BNI Connect online training, and maybe this BNI Connect large logo here. I can click Open. I can upload those 3 files now up to the system, and now you can see we have these available. These will now be there for me when I go in and I edit the actual website itself. So one of the things you may want to do is, if you know you're going to be editing the site, make sure you upload all your images first. You can also upload documents if you'd like to link to documents that can be downloaded from your site, as well as Flash images or Flash coding. The next tab along the top here is the Site Information tab. The Site Information tab has a number of kind of back-end pieces of information about your website. Probably the most important thing on this particular page that you're going to look to consider is this one right here, which is the second thing down that says Chapter Folder Name. So one thing you'll notice is that by default, because these are all automatically generated, it uses a certain pattern to create your chapter web page URL. By default, it's going to create a page that goes under your domain, so antarcticreferrals.com, and then it's going to generate the page name based on your region and your chapter name. So here it has shiver-region-bni-bur-chapter. Now, from a usage standpoint, if I'm out there and I'm telling people, hey, go to my chapter webpage, just go to antarcticreferrals.com/shiver-region-bni-bur-chapter. It's kind of a mouthful. You can edit this and change it to anything that you'd like to. So I can change this, as long as it's unique, to, let's say, antarcticreferrals.com/BRRR. So it's now just going to be go to antarcticreferrals.com/BRR. Much easier to remember that way. You can also add analytics code if you'd like to be tracking the clicks and the click-throughs to your site. If you make any changes on here, be sure to click the Update button. So we'll bring us back to our initial interface here. And you'll notice here we have two URLs, and they've now been changed. We can see that it now says the live site is BNI antarcticreferrals.com/BRR. Now, what are these sites anyway? We have a preview site and a live site. Now, if you're already familiar with working with websites, great. If this is your first time, the way that the websites work is that when you're working on the website, you're actually working on a backup copy of the site. What that means is that the rest of the world will see your site as of your last save, as of your last publish. That gives you the flexibility to work on your chapter site, make changes to it, test those changes, and then only after you're ready, which could be a couple of minutes, it could be a couple of days, you can then publish it and make it public for the rest of the world. We do that here through a live view and a preview view. When you're ready to make those changes, you click the Publish button. What that does is it takes what you've been working on, which is the preview site, and overwrites the live site. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that there is no undo button, so do be careful before you publish and make sure that you are ready to make that change. So under each of these pages, you'll notice that you have a couple of different options. You have the option to edit the name, to edit meta tags, and edit content. Now, editing the name, you can go in and you can change the actual name of what's showing up there. Just so you know what that is, that is this along the top here. So we have the home page, the chapter members, and the news. Again, we have the home, the chapter members, and the news. Now you'll notice gallery is here, but it's not showing up here. That is a special page. You'll notice that the last column here, for just a couple of these, have show and hide. By default, the gallery is a hidden page that you can utilize if you want to. If I want to, I can go ahead and click show, and this will allow me to show this page. And now on my preview URL, you'll notice that we have a gallery page. There's nothing in it right now, but we do have a gallery page. Whereas on my live page, we don't have that gallery. Again, this is working on the background, the preview page versus the live page. Now, if I publish this, now those changes will take effect. And if I go back to my live page, we now have the gallery available. Now, when making this change, you'll also notice up at the top here that there's a new tab that showed up when I enabled the gallery. That's because the gallery is its own, basically it's a photo sharing, a memory sharing device for your chapter where you can upload things. Let's say you have a social event or pictures of your chapter or whatever else you might do. You can upload photo albums of events and other things. So social event 2015, January after hours event. Something like that. Once you have this up here, you can start to upload photos into those albums. Just like loading things up into your library. Give it a title. And now I have this. If I publish this, I can go to my gallery and see the social event with the pictures from that social event in a gallery there. Deborah says, is there a maximum number of albums, photos, or megabytes of storage for photos or for documents in the chapter site? Can an ED edit what's on the chapter's sites? So as far as the limit, to the best of my knowledge, there is no limit, or nobody has approached that limit, if there is one, for the galleries or the number of images or documents that are shared through this public portal. That being said, it may be a limit, but if so, again, it's so large I don't know what it is. The EDs will have full control over all of the regional and chapter websites. So yes, an ED can always go in, override what somebody's put up there, or make changes for either branding purposes or policy reasons. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. All right, so again, you can edit the names of these. So if you want this to be, instead of home, you want this to be our awesome chapter. You can change the names of those pages accordingly. And now we'll see it is no longer home, it is our awesome chapter. Now, meta tags, this is really a search engine optimization thing. You can add descriptions and keywords and meta tags in order to be found in the search engines better. That is an art form unto itself, so please talk to a web designer or a search engine optimization person in your chapter for some advice on meta tags. Now, the meat and potatoes of all of this is the edit content. If I click on Edit Content, note that this does open in a new window. So if you click this Edit Content and nothing happens, do check your pop-up blocker. Make sure your pop-up blocker is turned off or that you're allowing pop-ups from this site. So what we'll see here is what we can edit. Now you'll notice that the things that you can edit on this page are somewhat limited. The left-hand side is we showed before, that's all pulled automatically from BNI Connect. The chapter speakers at the bottom, all pulled automatically from BNI Connect. The logo and the header information up here, pulled automatically from BNI Connect. Again, those are all either dynamic or pulled from BNI Connect. What we really have the ability to change is the central content of this page. Now, editing the content on the page is fairly straightforward. For the most part, this responds like a Microsoft Word or any other type of WYSIWYG editor. That being said, if you are a web designer, you do have access to the source code. Just click the source button up here in the upper left-hand corner, and you will see all of the source code. Now, for that reason as well, one thing to keep in mind is there's really no backup, restore, or anything in this particular module. One suggestion I have right away, even for you non-web designers, go into the source code and make a copy of this. So if I copy this and paste this into Notepad, I essentially have a copy of what this website used to look like before I start making my changes to it. So I can always restore this default code anytime I'd like to and revert the changes. So I'm just going to put that aside. Now, working with the website, again, a lot of this is just like working with a Word document, and most of these things you'll recognize just from everyday use. For example, I can take this text, I can make it bold, I can make it italic, I can go through, I can underline things, I can strike through, I can change the layout of all of these things, I can change the colors up here. I can also change the text colors as well. So all of this is possible just through using most of the buttons that you're going to find very familiar. And I don't recommend changing the font, however. Arial is the branded certified font for BNI, so whenever possible, please try to use Arial font. However, you can play with the text size as well. Things that you may not recognize, however, from a typical Word editor is there are some buttons up here in the top. These are all form building buttons. For most of our general everyday usage in BNI Connect, we're not going to be using these. However, you do have the ability to if you are an advanced web designer for things like checkboxes and fill out fields and things like that. The other things that you'll be looking for is right here in this row, and these are some very specific web design elements. The first of which here is link. When you need to link something, that means that you want to open up a new page or bring somebody to another website. That's what this link icon is for. So, for example, let's say that I have this word BNI here. I want, when somebody clicks on that word BNI, I want to send them to the www.bni.com website. So what I can do is highlight this, click on the link button, and just type in www.bni.com. Now when somebody clicks on BNI, it will bring them to bni.com. Oh, we do have a question here from Deborah about this thank you for closed business thing. So this right here, pound, TYFCB, pound. So this right here is a special code. This is the only code that's available on the chapter websites right now. But what this does is exactly as you described there. It pulls the thank you for closed business number for the past completed 12 months from your chapter POMs and inserts it onto the website. My recommendation is to just leave this alone. I mean, you can obviously change the color, the size. If you want to change this to green or something like that, you can do that, but you do need to leave that as exactly as pound, TYFCB pound in order to pull the thank you for closed business. Unfortunately, we don't have any other tags available at this time, so pulling number of visitors or referrals or anything else is not possible right now. So hopefully that answers your question, Deborah. All right. Other things that you may be interested in here is if you do want to add pictures to your website, you can definitely do that as well. To do that, you do need to click this picture icon, so insert image, and this is where the library comes in. If I want to insert something I uploaded to the library, I would click on Browse Server, and you'll see some stock photography. But you'll also see, for example, this is the image that I uploaded earlier, this online training image or this BNI Connect or the Get Connected, Stay Connected logo. I can choose one of these and insert it. Now, this looks like it's going to be huge, so I might want to shrink that down a little bit. Maybe I only want the width to be 250. That looks like a better size here, so I'm going to click OK, and now I can see I have this image in here. You can also do things like add tables. And by the way, some people use tables in order to keep their images lined up. So you can actually keep the images lined up by putting them into a table as well as text to go along with that. The other thing you may want to consider is that you can link images to, essentially turn them into buttons. For example, if I want, when somebody clicks on Get Connected, Stay Connected, I want to bring them to the support site, I would click on the image, click on the link button, and I would type in support.bniconnect.com. Now, anytime somebody clicks on that link, on that image, it'll bring them to bniconnect.com on the support site. Now, when you've gone through and made everything as gorgeous and beautiful as you'd like it to be, you can click the preview button to see what it's going to look like and hit save. This now has saved the page successfully, and I can close out of the editor and go check out my new website. What happened? Where'd all my changes go? Well, if you remember, you do still have to publish those changes. So the rest of the world is still seeing my original website. In order to get my changes In order to get my changes done, I do need to publish, and you do this by clicking the Publish button again. And now, when I go to this live site, now all of my changes are done, and anybody going to this website will see this. And that is the basics of how to update and edit your chapter website. We are at the bottom of the hour, so I do want to be respectful of everybody's time if you do need to leave right away. First of all, thank you so much for being here today. I do want to open this up for questions now, though. But for anybody that does need to leave right away, and while you guys are typing all your questions in, just a reminder, this is being recorded. It will be made available on your on the support site. So if you go to support.bniconnect.com or click this question mark, it will bring you there, as well as on our YouTube channel. Again, that is youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. So all of the recordings will be made available there. All right, let's see. We have a couple of questions. One question from Deborah. She says, are click-through buttons versus text links inserted within text done via HTML coding? So you can do it through HTML coding. For example, let me go back to the contents here. At any point that you'd like to, you can switch back and forth between the HTML coding. Again, here, and you can see right here we have the href where it links the support.bniconnect.com to the image that's updated there. So if you're familiar with HTML coding, by all means, you can work directly in here. Otherwise, it will do those codes automatically through the WYSIWYG editor. And by the way, just to show you that little bit of magic from before, if you remember, I made a copy of my source code here. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, go to my source code, and paste it. And voila, it is back to normal. I have just reverted my website and undone all of those gorgeous page changes that I did. So hopefully that answers your question, Deborah. All right. What other questions? What other questions do you guys have? I'd be happy to answer those questions now. All right. Don asks, can we add additional pages to our chapter website? And unfortunately, Don, no, the number of pages for the chapter sites is limited to just these pages. However, on these other pages, like the chapter members, the member details, you do have some additional flexibility for those particular pages in order to make some additional edits on those pages. But unfortunately, no, it is limited only to these pages right now. Good question, though. Thank you, Don. Any other questions? All right, if there's no additional questions, I am going to, again, thank everybody for being here today. Our next webinar in the series today is, not today, but our next webinar in the member series is going to be on Monday. So almost a week from now, we're going to be talking about visitors in BNI Connect. Visitors from invitation to follow-up. We're going to go through the entire visitor process and all of the different ways that BNI Connect can help you with visitors and get more people to show up at your chapters. We're going to be holding that again Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. I would love it if you could attend that. And also, if you found this to be helpful, a good referral for me is to please let your other chapter members and your fellow BNI members know about these webinars. Please have them register right here on the support site or on the regional or national event calendars. I would also love it if you gave us a like on Facebook, facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. We do all sorts of stuff up here, tips and tricks, webinar announcements, reminders, all sorts of things up here on our Facebook page. So please do give us a like. Love to see you there as well. All right, again, there are no more questions. I'm going to close this out and say thank you, everybody, and happy connecting.